Okay. Seem to have a little streaming issues. We'll see if it works itself out. That's okay. Another day dealing with big tech. Interesting. I'm talking about this topic and error. YouTube not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Interesting. It's not something. It's not one thing. It's another, right? Okay. Well, I think we're going. Let's all right, let's do it. Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Coffee and Nuance. Today, I'm going to tackle the topic hotter than a certain politician's son's pipe, if you know what I mean. That's the dangers of letting big tech and our government play the role of truth arbiter. So a new study says that more and more Americans are supporting tech companies and the government stepping in to decide what's true and what's false. Well, color me skeptical. I mean, let's take a stroll down memory lane, shall we? Remember the last 2 decades? Oh boy, we got some whoppers. Start with the big one, the Iraq War. Remember when our government insisted that Saddam Hussein had a stash of weapons of mass destruction? We invaded a whole country based on that lie. Turns out it was just a geopolitical graft where the treasury was looted and hundreds of thousands of people were killed. How about the whole Russia collusion drama? For years, we were fed a daily diet of Putin's puppet nonsense. But evidence, poof, it's gone just like a Snapchat message. And yet we wasted so much time, taxpayer money on that wild goose chase. And those in charge, well, they knew it was BS. But it's not just the government. Big tech is no saint either. Look, they stomped anyone who mentioned the lab leak theory, and it was only allowed to be discussed after they deplatformed those who tried to bring it to light in the first place. Let's not forget YouTube's crackdown on alternative voices. Heaven forbid you challenge the official narrative. Demonetized and buried in the algorithm abyss. There you go. Apparently free speech is just a suggestion in the land of social media. Now, folks, let me remind you what this great country was built on. Freedom. Freedom of speech. Freedom of thought. Freedom of expression. Censorship is antithetical to the American experience. We didn't fight for independence just to swap out one master for another. And here's the thing. When we allow big tech and the government to be the truth police, we're handing them the keys to the kingdom. It's like trusting a fox to guard the hen house, and it's not going to end well for those chickens. And those of you backing censorship, you are the chickens. We're living in an age of information where knowledge is power, but with great power comes great responsibility. And that responsibility should be in the hands of the people, not some faceless corporation or politicians. Look, I get it. False information's a problem, but who gets to decide what's true? Who's the final arbiter of reality? It's a slippery slope. It's a road we don't want to go down. The beauty of America lies in our diversity of ideas, our ability to challenge the status quo, and yes, even to entertain those crazy conspiracy theories that keep ending up being true. It's what fuels innovation, progress, and a society that can adapt and evolve. So let's not give in to the allure of an easy solution. Let's be vigilant. Demand transparency. Hold both big tech and our government accountable. We can handle the truth, both good and bad. And after all, we're not a nation of fragile minds. We're a nation of thinkers, questioners, and trailblazers. Remember, the truth is not always convenient, but it's worth seeking. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee Nuance Show. Best censored commentary and news show live. Right now, flame on. Oh, yeah. That's good. That's good. Adjust this here. Here we go. So anyway, there's this new Pew research study, and just let that sound kind of tell you what the organization is. Pew research study. I actually do have some experience with Pew. Someone in my family was called like all the time to answer these questions about Pew Research. You know, they would call to ask these questions. And this family member had a very typical point of view for many years. And I might have had a little influence on them, perhaps, but also their views might have evolved to not be exactly mainstream, okay? And I think it was around the 2016 election, asking certain opinions on certain candidates. Their opinion did not line up with what was mainstream, and all of a sudden, no more calls for political issues. Now again, I don't have enough information to say that that's how they determine who they talk to. That's just an anecdote. So we can't conclude anything, but that's what I've seen firsthand. So this Pew Research Group survey, they showed that support for tech companies and government taking steps to restrict false information and also extremely violent content online has increased in recent years. And now it's about 2/3 of Americans support tech companies moderating false information. And 55% support for the U.S. government doing the same thing. So the majority of Americans favor the government deciding what's true. And 2/3 think it's cool for big tech to make that decision. So this has been on the rise. This has been on the steady rise, like the past 5 years. This may not come as a surprise, but Democrats show more support than Republicans for restricting false information and violent content online. And this partisan gap has actually grown substantially since 2018. Also, older Americans are more likely than younger Americans to support restricting extremely violent content online. But younger adults have shown increased support for both tech companies and the government moderating false information. So, oh man, I think we're in a lot of trouble. I think we're in a lot of trouble here. Man. And, you know, I should never have to say not all, right? Obviously, if I say the majority, right, that's more than half. Of course, there's exceptions. You're the exception, right? You don't believe in this, let the government decide what's real and what's not real. It's interesting, you know, there was an expression, I guess, I don't know the origin of this, but it was like in Soviet Russia, right? Everybody knew that the news was propaganda. Everybody knew that it was, and it was, right? The difference is, over here in the US, most people don't realize that. You know? And so which is worse? Being fed lies and knowing it's a lie, or being fed lies and somehow believing that it's true? Yikes. Yikes. This this is kind of scary. Now, one thing I didn't like about this study is it was looking at two different things, right? It was looking at fake news, and it was also looking at violent imagery. And I'm not for violent imagery. I don't think it should be totally censored, but I don't like it in my news feed. I don't need to see that. You can describe it to me. That's just me. But, man. Whew, what do you think about this? Let me know in the comments. And remember, in the after show, later on the show, I'll be going through all your comments on Rumble and on YouTube. Remember, we're streaming live on Rumble every day, trying to get more numbers watching live. A lot of people will watch it on Rumble. We're getting over 500 views a day over on Rumble. Not as many people watching it live, so trying to get some more people to watch it live over on Rumble. And also, if you're watching it on Rumble, come on. Help the algorithm. Hit a like. Doesn't cost anything. I would appreciate that if you can do that for me. Let's get some more likes. But got an interesting show for you today. A number of stories to get to. And maybe some stories that you might not hear about on your local news. So, yeah, let's get to it. All right, it's dad joke time. Can't help myself. Why did Putin send grain to Africa? Because he heard they needed some help. And the U.S. media, they're probably too busy chasing other half-baked stories. Ba-dum-bum. Okay, let's get to the story. Russian President Vladimir Putin pledged to gift tens of thousands of tons of grain to African countries within months, despite Western sanctions affecting grain exports. He promised 25 to 50,000 tons of free grain to each country, like Burkina Faso, Zimbabwe, Mali, Somalia, Central African Republic, and Eritrea. The move is part of Russia's effort to strengthen ties and business in Africa. Putin also criticized Western countries for obstructing grain and fertilizer supplies and blamed them for the current crisis in the world food market. The summit covered various sectors where Russia is willing to share expertise or do business, with 49 African states participating. So this is a kind of a big deal, and kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal. Didn't hear about that one on CNN. Wasn't on the front page of the news. But I got to tell you, I just wanted to bring this story to light because maybe you hadn't heard of it. I'm not, I really don't have enough to have an opinion on this. I don't know. Kind of seems good that he's offering grain to countries that need it. Seems like a good thing. Are there strings attached? Probably. Why do you think U.S. aid is in every single one of those countries too? Why does the U.S. show up with humanitarian aid to all these same countries? Well, strings attached, right? That's how you can control people, right? It's a good way to control people, and it looks like Putin is reaching out to do. He's taking after the U.S., so that should actually be celebrated, right? Putin's trying to be more like Uncle Sam. That's a good thing, right? I don't know. Is anyone going on vacation to Europe this summer? Because we got some changes, especially in Paris. So, yeah, Paris is cleaning up the Seine River for the Olympics. So get ready to swim in the city's fancy new open-air toilet. Paris is cleaning up the Seine River to host swimming events during the 2024 Olympics. Efforts to improve water quality have been underway since 2018, and the river will also be used for the opening ceremony. The long-term goal is to allow public swimming in designated areas by 2025. Now, despite progress, some locals still have reservations about the water's safety. The cleanup is seen as essential in adapting to climate change and restoring biodiversity in the river. So good news all around. Getting that Seine River back on track. We've had similar things happen here in Portland. We got the Willamette, and sometimes it's not too clean, and other times it is. But sometimes some overflow ends up in the river, making it unsafe. But they've been doing events here as well to promote river health and fixing the river. They've made new little swimming areas, and they have different events down on the water, trying to draw attention to making the river cleaner and safer and something that the public can use. And they're doing this in Paris too. That's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. I don't think I'd want to be one of the first people going in. Let's really test this out. And taking it back to government censorship, maybe not rely on just the government's opinion on whether it's safe or not. Maybe we can get some independent scientists to test the water to see if it's good or not. Just an idea. Anyway, sticking with Europe, got some news for anyone that is planning on traveling there. It looks like Europe's breaking up with visa-free travel for Americans and asking for a visa commitment now. It's like they're saying no more casual flings. It's visa or see ya. So starting in January 2024, Americans will no longer have visa-free travel to 30 European countries. They will be required to obtain travel authorization through the European Travel Information and Authorization System before their trip. The visa will cost about $8, be valid for 3 years, and allow stays of up to 90 days in each country. Approval usually takes minutes, but it can take up to 4 days or more in some cases. However, having an approved visa doesn't guarantee entry, as travelers must still meet the entry conditions set by the border police of the destination country. So I am a bit skeptical of this. Wait a sec. Let's fix our Chiron there. I'm a bit skeptical of this. I saw this when I traveled to Canada. When I was going to Canada, I had to fill out some paperwork. What they wanted me to do, and I didn't do it, but what they wanted me to do was to download an app on my phone, a Canadian government app, to fill it out for the border crossing, that I would then keep on my phone the whole time I'm in Canada. No thanks. I don't think anyone should be required to download a government app to enter a country. In fact, I was pretty much yelled at by the border security. They're like, "Why didn't you download the app? Why didn't you download the app?" I'm like, "Well, I filled out the paper, physical paper. We still use that, right?" And I don't know, but it looks to me like this whole visa thing may have an app that you got to put on your phone. I don't know. That's what it's looking like. And it's one of those things that it's not like totally required, but in many ways, they have ways of kind of making it required. It's kind of like when you go to the store and they have self-checkout, right? And then they have one lane that you can go through where there's a cashier. Now, technically, you have a choice, right? You can go to the self-checkout now, or you can stand in a long line to see a cashier. It may be the same thing with this Visa. I'm just speculating, but I'm pretty good at predicting this kind of thing. That it's like, okay, well, you got the app on your phone. Okay, go on through. Oh, you didn't do that? You need to line up over here. There's more government surveillance, more control. I mean, the $8, who cares? $8 not a big deal. But again, I'm just not a big fan of the strings that are going to go with this. Anyway, we'll just have to see how this plays out. And you know, I had a different good news story. I decided to just nix that at the end. We'll just make this next story our good news story. If we look at it with a little a little differently, this is a new way to do news. AI news anchors. Sounds like they're taking fake news to a whole new level. Here's the story. Channel 1 News is a startup using AI to create personalized video news. Their AI-generated anchors and correspondents are a work in progress, but they aim to offer a realistic, human-like experience in the future. The goal is to provide news tailored to each viewer, similar to personalized algorithms in platforms like Spotify or TikTok. The content will include ads and will be sourced from credible places. The company believes AI can revolutionize the news viewing experience. It's an interesting idea. We've heard about this a little bit. And I will say that this is good news because we all have news algorithms that where we get our news. When I say all, I don't mean 100%, right? I mean most people. You're on Apple, you got your Apple News feed, and you just kind of scroll through that while you're standing in line. Those people with an Android, you got your Google News feed, and you kind of scroll through that. That's all somewhat personalized. You know, they track the things that you look at, and they give you more of that. They track the things that you don't look at, and they give you a little bit less of that. Unless it's something that they want you to see. Then they don't care if you want to see it or not. So we all have these kind of artificial news algorithms already. And this would be just providing it in video content with a pretty person reading it for you. Now, the thing that I guess I don't understand is it's hard for me to get into the mind of most people. I can't do that. I'm only in my own mind, right? And you're only in your own mind. I don't think I want to see an artificial intelligence news person. I don't think that's what I want to see. I think I'd just rather see a real person stumbling over the words and messing up the teleprompter, right? And even if they're going to do this way that you get a personalized news feed, they don't have to redo it for every story. Like today, like the story, the grain deal, Putin and Africa's grain deal, right? They just need one recording of it. And, you know, maybe if they want it personalized, they could have a dozen different anchors. Right? Just a dozen different actors reading the stories, and then they could just decide which ones to send to you. I don't think they need to use an AI. I mean, I guess it's cheaper, but... and for me, I know that I don't want that, but that doesn't mean that most people wouldn't prefer that. Because, let's face it, most people just do what they're told. Most people follow the crowd. Most people accept things as they are. And so if this is what's given to them, and if they're told that this is the cool new thing, most people will go along with it. So I predict that we will have AI news. Would you watch this show if instead of me, it was a facsimile of me? Some, better looking AI version of me? Maybe, right? Maybe you would. But I'm hoping you watch this because you like getting my point of view, right? Getting my take on things, even if I'm not the best at delivering it. I know that. I know I'm not the best at this. I know that I repeat myself. I know that I drone on too long on certain subjects. I'm aware of that, and I'm trying to get better. See, that's the great thing when you don't have a big audience, is you can keep trying, right? It's got to be really tough if you're immediately out the gate, you got 100,000 people watching you. You can't experiment and try new things. But when you got a dozen people watching you, then you can. So in that way, I'm grateful for not being a success. And I'm grateful, thank you for burying me in the algorithm. Anyway, I do think that this is good news, though, that they are working on a different algorithm to deliver news to you. Because frankly, the algorithms that they're using right now, they're not that great. So perhaps this will be better. We'll just have to see. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. And stick around for the after show. I'll be going through all your comments on all the channels. And tomorrow is Friday. It's a Fact Check Friday. I already think I have some good ideas on what to talk about. So I'll see you then. Peace. So this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Ugh. Well, let's just get rid of that. Keep getting corrupted text files. Someday I'll figure that out. Anyway, thanks for sticking around for the after show. Looking over there on Rumble, oh my God, not a single comment. And yet, later today, lots of people will be going through and watching the show on Rumble. So, if you're not watching it live, if you are watching the replay on Rumble, do me a favor and leave me a comment. Let me know that you're a real human being. That'd be awesome. I appreciate that greatly. Anyway, let's take a look and see what all the comments are on YouTube. Natasha says, video title makes sense because the majority of Americans took the juice, and now some things make it harder to think. Censorship equals less things to think about. Okay, that is true. WMDs, what a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke that got 500,000 people killed, so... Pretty hilarious. Pretty hilarious. Matthew Adams, ramping up the content. Nice. So I'm trying. I am trying. Although I think Florida censoring groomer books in schools is actually a very good idea, and all other states should follow Florida's lead. Yeah, we're talking about what social media is doing. And we're not talking about what school boards are doing. Different things. It says people who work can't watch at 2 p.m. That is true. I chose this time because I didn't think there would be a lot of competition at this time. It's noon on the West Coast. And I wanted a time early enough in the day that when I'm done with this, I turn off my computers and I'm done for the day. right? Being on social media, being on the news and everything like that. At least this way, I get it done. Now, obviously, I could go earlier, but I just wanted to get it done for the day. Hey, Tom, please report on the WorldCoin app and the orb organization or the orb in which people gaze to get their ocular bio information recorded. It's freaky. George Gammon did a video yesterday. Yeah. I will look into the WorldCoin thing shortly. I will do that. Those countries have something we want. We're just as Machiavellian as Russia trying to schmooze. Yeah, pretty much. Sounds fun, swimming in the Seine. Maybe after a few years and nobody starts glowing. Yeah, you know, we want to see how it goes for the guinea pigs first, right? Let's see. Lucid Moment says, wow, countries have standards to enter the country. We need that. Well, I don't think it's necessarily standards to enter the country. I do think that it's about having more control. And, you know, for I guess most of my life, we had visa-free travel to Europe. So I'm not sure about the change. To me, it means that they think less of America than they used to, right? America now has less trust in Europe than it used to. Being an American is now less trustworthy than it used to be. I don't think that's a great trend. Natasha says, "Oh, come on, man, don't be Nixon stories." I decided, no, the good news story I had, just, you know what? I wasn't excited about it, and I just want to do stories that at least I find interesting. That's kind of my cutoff. So, yeah, it is what it is. Somehow I think AI news will be even more propagandized than radio. I just like the idea of if there is someone else doing a different algorithm, it has the chance of being better. That's all. Lucid says, I'd rather be lied to by a real person. Yeah, me too. I agree. No, Tom, I want the real you unless AI jokes are better. Well, AI jokes would probably be better. My jokes are pretty bad. Tom, you think you could sip more coffee during the show instead of waiting for the breaks between stories? Oh, you think I should? I probably should. I do have a one-track mind, though. I'm doing one thing, and I just focus on one thing, and then I forget, and the coffee goes cold. I'm not very good at multitasking. And I think I've shared with you before, but that's why I like having all the different stuff here to do, because I'm working on my multitasking, because I'm terrible at it. Anyway, just a little insight into me. Anyway, not a big show today. Not a big crowd. That's okay. That's okay. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday, Fact Check Friday. And I hope you all have a glorious afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.